Now I guess we get to start. Good morning and welcome to 1 Million Cups. My name is Mark Wagner and I am with the North Dakota Women's Business Center. And I have the honor today of being your host, MC. And so I have big shoes to fill. When you follow Evan and Janya and Tyler, just forgive me up front. We'll just go from there. All right, so any new people today? People who have never been here? Got a few. Well, welcome. Welcome. We hope that you will come back and see us again. Just remember that each time you come, you bring your mug with you. Is this stand spinning? There we go. I'm quicker than this. That's easy. So what are we doing here? 1 Million Cups. Every week, we get together, a program to give local businesses, community builders, the opportunity to share, idea, engage for the community, for advice, feedback. All of the conversation that you had this morning outside, we have that every week. And so that's what we encourage. We hope that you'll work with each other, use each other's services, support each other. That's what this is all about. Okay? Now we'll get to the next stage. So that's what we want to do. Can we change our face of the entrepreneurial community by connecting over 1 million cups of coffee every week? This is done throughout the United States. Some people call it a different name in different communities. Now, we have a whole list of sponsors. We have 3 pages full, and we want you to acknowledge those folks and thank them when you see them, if you know those folks, for either giving their time with bodies and people or services, providing in-kind services, that kind of thing. So acknowledge these folks for the work that they do for 1 Million Cups. And we got room for more, so if there's folks that would like to get their name up there, we'll find a place to put it in. Okay, as we get through today, we're gonna have some time after Kyle is done presenting for you to ask questions. So as he's presenting, think about the things you'd like to ask, questions you'd like to understand. There'll also be questions coming in on our live stream, so we're gonna spend a little bit of time sharing those, so have those prepared. Community announcements. Every week, we do talk about what goes on in the community of Bismarck, Mandan, and it is a way for the community to get those projects out. I have heard several projects that I would have not known about had I not heard them here. So it's kind of cool that we're able to do that. Are there any today? Let's start with that. Anybody here with a community announcement? Okay, we'll see what comes up. We'll start with National Day today. National Cat Day. How many have cats? All right, where are the dog lovers? All right, some of you got both? Yeah, they can live harmoniously just like Democrats and Republicans, right? We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. But anyway, National Cat Day today. Our own Marlo Anderson, who has been an integral part of 1 Million Cups in the National Day calendar. All right, the 1 million, congratulations to the 1 Million Cup community celebrating anniversary this month. Bismarck, this is our 12th year. So, Tyler, who's all been started from the beginning? Marlo, you were from the beginning, right? Tarlo, Evan, and Janya? Okay. All right. So we have a few of them that are still here. And so thank you to them for getting everything started and going from that. Perfect. Silicon Plains, is they here today on their announcement? They're not. What they're doing is they're doing a monthly AI for your business, everything you need to implement in AI in just 15 minutes. You can scan the barcode, and they do these little sessions, 15-minute sessions, and just teach you about AI, how to use it, what it means, and just to get an understanding of where you're going with that. Okay? This is the library. You're doing that?
Good morning, Tyler DeMars here. I serve on the board of the Bismarck Library Foundation, and our Bismarck Public Library continues to put on great events for our community. We have a couple to talk about this morning. Jigsaw puzzle competition. So it is almost November. We officially dipped below 30 degrees, I think, for the first time this morning. So it is puzzle season at our house, and I hope it is at your house too. If you want to jumpstart on getting your jigsaw puzzle chops back up to speed, here's an opportunity on November 2nd at 2 p.m. that afternoon. There's a jigsaw puzzle competition. So this is a speed puzzling competition open to anybody 6th grade or older. Teams of 2 to 4. You do have to register because it's limited to 15 teams. So that QR code you can register at, or you can just go to bismarcklibrary.org and search their events. You'll find it there as well. Please check it out. Our library does an awesome job of creating these events for our community, and I think it should be supported. So one more, Mark, if you wouldn't mind sliding me forward. Also at the library, coming up on November 3rd, we have a local author showcase in the Children's Library. So again, as we're approaching these winter months and we kind of bundle down and have less opportunities to get outside, the library is a great opportunity to get families out in the community, get out of the house, find something to do. And our Children's Library at the Bismarck Public Library is a fantastic space. If you have kiddos and you haven't checked that out yet, this is a great opportunity to do that while also meeting an author. Just an awesome third space in our community, and I hope we can support it. Thank you.
All right, support the local library. Tyler, you're still on the board, correct? Yes. Okay, so board member, and so then if you have these types of announcements, please bring them to us. Anybody else have one that they would like to share today at all? Anybody? Okay. Well, that means we will get started today with our speaker. I'm privileged because I have the great honor of knowing this gentleman. And fan of Chick-fil-A. If you got to try it this morning, hope you enjoyed it, because that is part of it. I have the opportunity to probably show up down there 2 to 3 times a week. My pocketbook probably doesn't appreciate it that well, but it's a good place to go and enjoy it. So I want to introduce to you this new individual that just took over as the owner-operator for Chick-fil-A. And he's from our community. He's originally from Dickinson, moved to Bismarck, and he's been a part of our community for a while. And it is so fun to see individuals be able to move up into their businesses and take over and do these types of things. So I am going to just step aside and let Kyle talk about it. So if you want to come on up. Kyle Kudrna, owner-operator of the Bismarck Chick-fil-A. Appreciate it. You bet. Take that from you. You have that.
Well, hey guys, Mark, thanks for that introduction. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate the opportunity to get to speak to you guys today. First thing, hopefully everyone got some breakfast this morning, because that was part of my plan, that you guys would all eat breakfast, so you'd be so tired and sleepy in the seats that I can mess up as much as I want up here and no one's really going to know the difference, okay? So, gotcha. But no, seriously, I want to get up here and just talk to you guys. I don't claim to be a world-class presenter, so you're going to hear some ums. You're going to hear some ahs, probably some awkward pauses, but I'm going to do my best. And really got 2 things I want to get through today. And I know I got that 15 to 20 minutes, so if someone flag me, I can talk for a while. So number 1, I want to tell you about who I am in my journey and how I got to where I'm at. And the reason I want to do that is not because I'm comfortable talking about myself. In fact, that's probably going to be the most awkward part of this for me, but it's important. As Mark said, I understand the brand that I get to represent every single day, and sometimes when you see a large brand, you go, okay, well, who's there? Who's behind it? Is it some corporation? And I'm glad Mark got to say that, because I am. I'm from Dickinson. That's where I was born. I'm a North Dakotan, and I'm very, very proud of that. And it's a privilege for me to get to represent such a great brand like Chick-fil-A in the community I love so much. But number two, high level, I just want to talk about Chick-fil-A. Some of the things that I didn't know prior to being associated with the brand. So that's what I'm going to try and get through today for you guys. So first things first, I've had the privilege to work and get a ton of different experience across the country, but the best titles I've ever had in my life is number one, a husband, and number two, a father. So you get to see my lovely wife and kids up there. I've been married for 9 years to my wonderful wife, Michelle. I got 2 boys, Kellen and Cameron. And you always have those proud parent moments if you're a parent. I got lucky and captured it. So in this picture right here, I made the boys' supper. We had these empty cardboard boxes from Chick-fil-A. And as you know, whatever you get your kids, cardboard boxes and Tupperware are the best toys you can get them. So I brought them home. They wanted to eat supper on them. I went to get them drinks. And when I came back, they were praying before their meal. So that's one of the most proud moments I've had as a parent. That was unprompted right there. So that's my family. Okay, so yes, there's some pictures up there. I will get to those in a minute and why they're up there. But this is my journey. Prior to Chick-fil-A, I spent over 15 years coaching, particularly in athletic performance, formerly known as strength and conditioning. 10 of that was at the Division I college level. And when you're at that level, you get pulled into multiple roles. So I actually was coaching on the field in football as well at that level. So all of my journey is up there on the side. And really, I want to talk to you guys about that because it is important you know who you're supporting and who's running your local Chick-fil-A down here. So I started my coaching career at NDSU. And next to those, you're going to see a little brief. When I look at my journey, you learn a ton of stuff as you're growing as an individual. And I try to narrow it down to what is my largest takeaway at each one of my stops. So at NDSU, I was really learning how to separate myself personally and professionally. As I was going to school, coaching these individuals, sharing the classroom with them. But after my time at NDSU, I got a job at Arizona State. And sacrifice and relationships are the 2 things that stood out to me at that stop. So now, I'll bring in this car. That was the car I drove when I lived down in Arizona. The reason I put it up there is for 7 to 8 months, it was cheaper for me to live in my car. So I lived in my car for 7 to 8 months. I had a cooler in the back. I'd sleep in the back. But that allowed me the opportunity to be close to the facility, park in the parking lot. I met every coach, met every player, and developed relationships with them. And I really learned the importance of sacrifice to make it as a Division I coach. Through that, I got an opportunity at the University of New Mexico. And I got a pretty good opportunity there in a certain time frame. I was the youngest Division I strength and conditioning athletic performance coach in the entire country. At the time, I had no idea the significance of that. However, I made a ton of mistakes, and I learned from it. And one of those things that I learned from that time at University of New Mexico is how to lose. We lost a lot, but it was, how do you keep a team motivated? How do you keep a staff motivated to come back every single day and say, all right, we're facing a number 14th ranked team, and we probably know the outcome. But I don't care. I still need you to give your 100% best effort. It does not matter. It matters what you are doing, and what you don't always control the circumstances. You control your reaction to those and your response. And so that's what I took away from there. And through that, one of the relationships I made at Arizona State was with head coach Mike Norvell. He called me and said, hey, I got the job at Memphis. I need you to be a part of this thing. So my wife and I moved across the country again, and we went to the University of Memphis. And what we found there is quite opposite experience, but similar lessons learned. We won in just about every single category you can win in. On the field, off the field, everything. But what I noticed is a lot of those same problems you had with losing showed up. How do you keep this team motivated? We are playing an unranked team. We're projected to beat them by about 70 points. Can I let off the gas? No, you can't let off the gas. I wouldn't be doing my job if I let you let off the gas. So we learned how to win. We learned how to keep a team motivated. And so that brings in this picture right here. Sorry, I could not find a picture with guys with their shirts on. That's not the point of this. The point of this is those 3 guys in the picture, you can see, I don't know who that is, but thank goodness they're squatting down because it would really show how short they are compared to these gentlemen. That's me. Those 3 guys are all NFL draft picks. If you follow NFL, I don't know if any of you guys do, this is Tony Pollard right here. But the point of me showing that picture is this was kind of the pinnacle of my career. At that point, I had NFL job offers. Coach Norvell got the job at Florida State and said, hey, I need you to come with me. And we had to have a serious conversation as a family of what our priorities are. As a business owner, you guys can put this into perspective. You can easily get consumed with, let me just finish this one thing before I go home. Let me just go do the next thing. I'll be home when I get home. They'll be okay. Let me call my wife. Let me call my husband, your spouse, friend, whoever. I'll be home in a little bit, and then the next thing turns into the next thing, right? I was getting home at 7 o'clock at night, leaving the house at 4:30 in the morning. The last day as a University of Memphis coach was my 137th day in a row without a day off. So really, the conversation between my wife and I was, it's not like my hours are going to cut down after this. What's important to me, and it's God and it's family. And so we moved back home, and I didn't have a job, but by the grace of God, I got a job at Sanford Sports. And it was one of my favorite jobs I've ever had. And I got to be the manager of the West region of North Dakota, and I really got to learn to scale some of that coaching. What it's like to coach an NFL player. Well, guess what? My standard is the same for a 6-year-old, but how am I communicating that message? Because how I communicate it to Tony Pollard is different than how I have to communicate to my 4-year-old. It doesn't work like that. So how do I scale that to individuals? How do I scale that to coaches at the same time? And through that, Andrew Stubbs, the previous owner-operator, had 2 kids in a program I had there. It was for homeschoolers to come get their physical education. Get out of the house, come get physical education. Well, Andrew Stubbs' kids were in that. We made a connection. He was coaching leaders. I was coaching leaders. He offered me a job. I turned him down twice. And that was all, truthfully, me being honest with you guys, it was out of ignorance. It was out of, I didn't sleep in this car to go work fast food. I know Chick-fil-A is great. I don't doubt that. I got my first experience at Arizona State with it. The brand blew me away. However, I didn't sleep in that car to just go work fast food. Ignorance. Because he got to the conversation, he said, well, why do you like to coach? Well, I love to grow young individuals. I love to be a mentor. And above all, I love to teach young men and women what it's going to be like in the real world and how to grow. He goes, man, I don't think you know what I do on a day-to-day basis. Come follow me. So I followed him for a day, and again, foot went right in the mouth because I go, holy smokes, this guy is doing everything I do. I do it through a whistle and weights. He's doing it through the platform of chicken. But it's the same concepts. We're in the people business. We're not in the chicken business. So that led me to Chick-fil-A. And I learned how to apply coaching to business. And I shouldn't say I learned. Am still learning, will ever learn how to do that because mistakes have been made every single day, but I'm learning and growing from that. So that's me. That's my journey. About Chick-fil-A, this is the more important piece. I'm just going to give very, very high-level overview. If there's more details you want to know, I'd prefer that in the open Q&A. But it all starts with this guy right here, Truett Cathy, our founder. And I'm going to refer to this right here. So without looking at your phones, can anyone, I'll buy you lunch if you can tell me what Proverbs 22:1 says. I have the cheat code because I looked it up, obviously, multiple times. I'm not a guy that can spell the Bible. But what that verse says, that's his life verse, is a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. And I can attest to you, I would do this with the name tag off. I would say it before anywhere. There is not a larger brand I've gotten to witness that lives and dies by that Bible verse each and every day by what they do. And I am so fortunate I get to be a part of that. So I will talk about the food. Most people come into Chick-fil-A because they're hungry, obviously. I think that isn't even the top thing that we do. It is our business, but it's a bare minimum expectation of what we try to provide. So the ingredients, very high level. Quality ingredients are sourced in certain places. We don't just get our ingredients anywhere. And for example, I'll just talk about the chicken. The chicken is grade A. If it does not come back graded as a grade A, we do not use it in the restaurant. So here's something for you guys. Chick-fil-A. That A stands for grade A chicken. So they played on words. It was kind of unique, but Fil-A. The A is grade A chicken. So that's where that comes from. It's not even as much the quality as it is the processes. And I got to be very careful of telling about the processes. But food safety, here's what I will say. We have a state regulation. We have a city regulation of what we have to follow. Chick-fil-A looks at each of those and says, okay, if this is the state and local level, this is our regulation for you here. So they're always trying to go above and beyond. And so I can give you an example of that. The thawing process for chicken. As soon as chicken is taken out of the freezer, it has to be utilized in a certain hour allotment by the state level. Chick-fil-A says we are cutting that back by 24 hours. Not because it's not food safe. It's safe. But because we, in our tests and studies, have noticed that the quality diminishes by the hour after it's been thawed. So if it goes past that time, we have to expire it. So that's the thawing process. It goes through a tenderizing process. Here's something I didn't know. Every single piece of chicken, so I will ask this. I had some sausage out there and I had chicken out there. I know North Dakota, we look at it and we go, chicken for breakfast? So raise your hand if you braved yourself to have chicken for breakfast. Oh, dang. Again, foot in my mouth. I would say this. That chicken went through a tenderization process, a thawing process. It was hand-breaded. Every single piece of chicken is hand-breaded. It doesn't come breaded in a box, thrown in a fryer. It is hand-breaded and gone through that rigorous process. Each piece is inspected. If it doesn't, again, still follow the grade A, we don't use it. We expire it. Then, the cooking process. We have a special machine designed specifically for our coder, the special recipe coder, and for the weight of our fillets. It has a computer in it, and that's what gives it its crispy outside, the juicy tenderness inside. I don't know about you guys. I love to cook, but I have not been able to figure out how to cook a chicken breast at my house without making it dry or tough, right? So I don't even attempt it anymore. I just eat Chick-fil-A. Assembling, serving, so there's a certain process. That bun has to meet certain specs. The pickles are supposed to go on a certain way. Everything we do, every little detail has a purpose and it is trained. I will look every one of you in the eye and I can say, I'm sure you guys haven't always had that experience when you walk into my restaurant, but I can look you in the eye and also tell you this. Every single day, we are striving to get better. We coach every single thing we find, from the leaders down. If I have a team member that just started and they notice me do something incorrect, their job is to coach me as the owner and say, hey, Kyle, I noticed you didn't put the pickles in the right place. Thank you so much. Man, I just missed that. I appreciate it. I'll get it better next time. Every single one of us, that's the culture in our restaurant, is you're not too good to be coached. So, assembly and serving. Here's one other little fact. When that chicken comes out of the fryer, we could hold that chicken at a certain temperature, again, food safety-wise, for a long period of time. A long period of time. However, Chick-fil-A says it doesn't matter. At 20 minutes, that filet, that chicken starts losing quality. If that chicken out of the fryer goes past 20 minutes, you expire it. Our guests are more important. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and that's why we do it. So, there's the food, high level. What I think is even more important is our culture. So I'm going to play a video because this video is, if I could sum up what we're trying to do in this restaurant, in this community, this can do a way better job than I can. So, let's go. heavy video. That was a commercial that Chick-fil-A aired back in, they started airing it in 2016, I believe. First few times I watched that, I had tears in my eyes because it's the reality. When everyone walks into our restaurant, we have no idea what that individual is going through, what led them into our restaurant. And so I'm trying to create a culture in my restaurant where that's a human that's walking in. It's not a transaction, it's a human, and we need to treat them as humans, that there's something behind that. And Chick-fil-A does such a great job. I don't know if you noticed at the end of the video it says every life has a story if we bother to read it. They took that commercial off within 2 months and said, oh, gosh, after looking at it, this was airing on TV, and they go, we don't like the way that end is. If you bother to read it, that's not the language of Chick-fil-A. So they pulled that commercial, remade it, used a lot of the same clips, re-aired it, and played every life has a story if we take the time to read it. So as I talk through the culture, I talk through the process of our food, every single sentence, the way we put the pickles on, the way our language is when a guest comes in, all of those things collectively matter to give an experience to the guest. So, the culture of our restaurant. This is the Chick-fil-A mission statement. This picture here is, I'm like right there. This is of us on our graduation when they selected us to be operators. They shut down the entire corporate center. And every single person, so about 3,000, 3,500 staff, comes out, we meet them, we shake their hands, they celebrate with us, we go through a rigorous 5-week training, but they really, really celebrate this. And again, the longer I've been in this company, the more I've realized how they instilled in their culture. I did it for 15 years coaching. Well, that was one of my jobs. How do I uphold the head coach's culture, right? But what they do is so unique in that they do this type of celebration for just about anybody in the corporate center when they're put into a new position. They celebrate everybody's successes. So the culture and how I want to take this into our restaurant, everyone's heard my pleasure, right? It's not just my pleasure to serve the guests. It's my pleasure to serve my team, personally and professionally. So every single team member has the opportunity not only to grow within the organization into my business, but they have the opportunity to grow professionally as well as personally. So I may sit down with Susie, and I know Susie's only going to work for me for 9 months before she goes to college. Does that mean that's a transaction for me? Well, whatever, she's just going to work on the till and I don't need to know Susie? No. No, I want to know who Susie is. I want to know how to coach her. I want to know brothers, sisters, family. What are you going through on a day-to-day basis so that when she walks away, goes to college, becomes nurse, becomes accountant, whatever they want to do, I supported her through that. I taught her how to work. I guided her in that learning journey. It's not about what I get out of it. We all know when you pour into somebody, you feel better about yourself and you get more out of that. That's our culture. We are trying to have my pleasure serving everyone that walks into that building. And what does that look like for the guest? High level, when you go into a restaurant, business, subconsciously, you're looking for something, you don't even know it. I've done this multiple times. I challenge you guys to do it. When you go into the next restaurant you go into, it really comes down to those things I have listed there. You want to walk in and feel like you're welcomed. You don't want to walk in feeling like you're burdened, okay? You want it to be a clean and safe environment. Nobody wants to take their 4-year-old into the bathroom and go, yeah, don't touch that. We'll go when we get home, okay? And when you order food, this is particular in our restaurant or a restaurant or food setting, you want it to come out decent time. If you're going to fine dining, you have an expectation. If you go to a quick serve restaurant, you have an expectation. But you want to get what you ordered. Really 4 things. And when you think about it, it's not that complicated. Those are pretty basic things, but in reality, it's a lot harder to meet every one of those expectations consistently with every single guest. So you need to have systems in place. So we have systems in place trying to accomplish this every single day. Second mile service is what we are trying to do on top of our operational excellence. So an example of that, I am encouraging leaders, staff, to go seek out those opportunities. I employ 14-year-olds as my youngest age. Guess what? To ask a 14-year-old to get out of their comfort zone is a challenge. But guess what? It's just as big of a challenge sometimes for adults. So I can't just challenge my 14-year-olds. No, I challenge myself. I challenge my highest level executive director in the restaurant, the highest paid team member I have. I want you to seek out second mile service. One of those examples is names. If Krista comes into my restaurant, hi, may I have a name for the order? Yes, it's Krista. I take the order. I need to be using that name. Why did I ask the name? I want to make a personal connection. Hey, Krista, you wanted that Chick-fil-A Deluxe. Did you want that with American cheese or pepper jack? Okay, that's great. Hey, your total's going to be this, Krista. We'll have that order for you over there. Have a great day, Krista. That is so much more personal than, what can I get you? Right? Those little things, when you add all these up, it matters. And what I'm trying to do, what Chick-fil-A is trying to do is win moments. I am trying to win that moment with Krista so I can win her heart. That she knows she had an option to choose Chick-fil-A. She had an option to go to a different business over another business, but she chose ours. And while I'm so appreciative of that, how do I show that? I give a great experience, right? Today in our economy, it is challenging. Everybody's feeling it. So where our money is spent, we get to choose that. That's where our choice is. So it's my choice to say, we are going to give an experience. And so all that into one comes up to my mission statement. And it's up there. To continuously serve our team, guests, and Bismarck community better. To faithfully steward God's gift and strive to be North Dakota's most caring business. And the key words for me here that I always preach to our team, when we make decisions as leaders, everything in that restaurant comes back to this. Hey, Kyle, I got an idea. Great. Does it represent this? What good is a mission statement if it doesn't mean something to you and you're not following it? So the key words that I always talk about is continuously serve better. Hey, we served the guests great today. Yeah, how are we going to be better? And I think my team gets sick of that because they're like, gosh, when are we finally going to just do it right? Well, guess what? I've been on teams that are basically undefeated. We weren't undefeated. I've been a part of programs and met with people who were undefeated. Guess what? I've talked with Nick Saban. They always had areas to get better. So I take that same concept and keep it in the restaurant because we're always trying to get better. My contact is up here. I am always available to sit down and meet. I love meeting new people. It's how I met Andrew Stubbs. It's how we got each other better. So I'd love to sit down with anybody, come in my restaurant, have a cup of coffee, let's talk shop and get each other better. But that's all I got, Mark.
Well, Ross is going to come up and handle our microphones for us, and we're going to grab some questions and visit with Kyle. The one thing I noted with your little picture, though, I got to just make comment of it. You got at home, Chick-fil-A boxes, and we're eating pizza.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
he does support the rest of the community.
Yes.
There we go. I can attest to some of the really cool things that happen at your store. Because I got to be honest with you, I feel like Norm when I come in. I have my table, and everybody knows me. Hey, Mark, how you doing? And I'm going to share this story.
Yeah.
I know you know this story. So I'm at Chick-fil-A one day, and I'm visiting with a few folks. And several of the employees who see me there regularly came up and were talking to me, and a couple gave me hugs and that kind of thing. And there was a lady there. And this lady looks at me when they were all done. She says, wow, this must be a really special place to work. Do you enjoy working here? And I said, I don't work here, ma'am. She could not believe it. She said, well, that's amazing to me. She said, everybody knows you. I said, I don't hear a lot. But that's the atmosphere you've created. That is so cool. Tyler.
Going back to the football picture, so I saw that gentleman with his shirt off, with his back to us. I thought, got to be like a 240, 250-pound linebacker, and that's an average-sized running back. That just blows my mind that those guys are that big, and good work with the strength training there. You mentioned part of the reason you made some of these transitions is just the number of hours and the work-life balance that wasn't there previously. So I cut my teeth in business managing restaurants and understand work-life balance in restaurants is a challenge as well. So how are you managing that, especially starting this new one, trying to establish a culture? It's a lot of hours, I'd imagine. So I'm just curious, what's your approach there?
I think that's a wonderful question. And I've gone back and forth on this. Some people say, oh, you got to have work-life balance. And some people are so far on the other side that there's no such thing. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know where I land, but I can tell you this. From my experience and what I've learned, I've gotten to witness the ups and downs of what that can do to you, what that can do to your team. When I was in the head strength and conditioning position at the University of New Mexico, I witnessed this, that team was all trying to get better, my coaches, and they wouldn't leave until I left. So I set the example. The leaders set the example. So if boss man is there till 6, guess what? You can tell your team, hey guys, you can go, and internally they're gonna go, oh, do I leave? I don't know, he's still here. So all that to say, in this business, I've learned from my mistakes. And I've had to just set a schedule. Part of my schedule is Tuesdays I work from home. And sometimes that kills me because I know I could be in the restaurant. But again, I have set the culture there and the team, the higher level executives that I have in the restaurant, they're the ones that are gonna fall into that trap. And I have a couple that are young parents. They've got kids that are 1.5, and I know what I struggled through. So I set their schedule, and I tell them, guys, if you are here when I don't want you here, there will be disciplinary action. And that is for them and for the safety of them. Now, does it always work that smoothly? No. We work in the restaurant industry. We own a business. There's times where work just has to get done, and we understand that. But I'm very, very conscious of that. And so if there's times where guys are going to work 50 hours this week, I try to accommodate that the next week. So I have a very unique schedule for our directors. I might be one of the only Chick-fil-A's in the country that has it set up this way, but it's because of my experience and what I know. Here's the thing. If I overwork my directors, they're going to quit and they're going to find another job because it's not a lifestyle they can uphold. So I want a place where we're not just viewed as fast food. This is a profession where you can grow. And a profession can't grow if the family life isn't there, because we all know that's the most important thing to all of us. So hopefully that answered.
It's the first place I've ever been that I've been told that, you know what, you're going to get disciplined for working too hard and too long. Nice concept.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thank you for giving the presentation and second and third breakfast.
My pleasure.
So looking at culture, with our coffee shop, my day job's at Bismarck State College, we look at culture. It's a pretty important aspect. The concept of the video that you played actually had talked to, our staff at the coffee shop, and we have part-time staff ranging from, those that are juniors and seniors in high school going to college, and we have a retiree as well. And trying to tell them that the people walking through that door are going to be unique with different problems coming in every day. So how do you get that message through, and at Bismarck State, looking at how do you make that experience? So, it's all around the team building. So how do you create that experience, especially with like using names? If I'm working an event at Bismarck State, if it's a conference or if it's a student recruiting event and they're wearing name tags, I'm using their names routinely. So how do you instill that into your culture? What's the selection process to be a part of the club? Because if you don't start with a good selection process, you're not going to have that culture. You're not going to get that ingrained into your staff, and you're going to have problems later on and when to nip it. So how do you put that team together?
So if I understand correctly, you're asking more about the talent and how we select talent, or are you asking how do we ingrain that culture?
Yes.
Heard. So here's what I'd say. One, this is probably the most important thing. It starts with leaders. They are all looking at what you do, and this is one of the biggest challenges of being a leader. You do it inside and outside when your name tag's on. It's never turned off. I have a very specific routine from the time I park my vehicle, I read my prayer book, and I log my journal, and what my job starts as soon as that car door opens and when I'm walking in, because they're all looking out the window. They see what I'm doing on the way in. They're seeing who I go say good morning to, everything. And so that's the first thing. Starts with your leaders. And I would say this, next to that is, what's my relationship? Because if I'm working for Mark, that power of the name tag only goes so far, right? You get that wow factor, oh, this is the president of the company or this or that. But then your spidey senses turn on, you start getting comfortable and you start realizing, okay, well, he's not actually walking the walk here. So now I'm going to start towing that line a little bit. So it starts with your leaders and then the relationship you have. I have to know, the example of Susie of 9 months, Susie is going to talk to Billy, who may work there 2 years. Billy's going to talk to Tommy, who may work there 4 years, and Tommy might talk to Jennifer, who's going to be a lifer there. That reputation you have spreads faster by word of mouth, and so you need to have a relationship. You got to know your team, and it's not easy. I employ anywhere from 100 to 130 team members. That's a lot of people to know. That's a lot of parents to know. That's a lot of who's your brother and what's your hobbies. But that's the way I invest in my own business and in people, is getting to know them. So you ask the question, how do you incorporate that culture? It's not a one answer and it's done. It's a continual struggle. And then the recruiting process, I'll be honest, I think when you get a good team around you, they know what your expectations are. They know your mission statement. When they're sitting across from somebody, that's how they guide the questions. And Carson's sitting in the back. He's my director of talent and does a wonderful job because he's upheld that mission statement, because he knows who he's sitting across from. It's that important that if we don't hire the right person, it's going to cause us issues 30 days, 60 days from now. So, yeah.
I've had the absolute pleasure of seeing your coaching firsthand in my daughter's best friend.
Okay.
So I've seen the changes that have happened within our house when she's at our house since working for Chick-fil-A. She loves it there, by the way.
Oh, I love that.
You guys have, team building on Sundays.
Yeah.
And that's her day off, and that's her day off from school and everything else, and she enjoys it. And so to see it firsthand just as a second parent, those best friends spend more time at their friend's house than at home. But it is good to see that it plays through.
Thank you so much. Very good. Sincerely.
I know we've talked a little bit, but one of the questions I would have, what would you say is the biggest surprise that you've had in this journey that surprised you the most as you've gone from being recruited to becoming the owner-operator and learning about Chick-fil-A? What surprised you the most along that journey?
I have no control, truthfully. You saw my verse up there. That's kind of my life verse is we make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps. And in the moment, you don't realize the significance of being the youngest strength and conditioning coach. You don't realize the significance sometimes, but just trying to be as humble as possible and gracious for those things and just trying to be as good of a person as you can be is always going to be something you can look in the mirror and say, well, I'm proud of that. Yeah.
All right, congratulations and thank you.
My pleasure.
We hear a lot about worker shortages. Do you experience any of that? Do you see worker shortages? I've another question for you. That's one question. The second question is, this is a legit question. How much nugget ice do you sell?
Okay, I'll start with the first one. The staffing shortage is an interesting one because I have friends and I still have colleagues in all these different industries, from banking to still coaching, and it's everywhere, guys. I feel the struggle, and Chick-fil-A is not immune to it either. It's not. But what I would say is, again, when going back to the gentleman's question over here, it's not about the volume of team members for us, because we probably could be fully staffed at 130 in a couple weeks if we wanted to be. But what issues is that going to cause? So right now, this is literally our conversation. We have a director meeting every Monday, and it was, yeah, I know we're short. That's where we as leaders get to set the example, right? So what's today, Wednesday? Just on Monday, I went into the back of house, the kitchen, and they were short, but my directors were filling in positions where people either called out or were sick, and so they were filling in positions, and I said, how can I help? Well, I took out the trashes, sweeping the floor. Just the culture of, if you're too big time for the small jobs, you're too small time for the big jobs. Because what that will do culture-wise is if they see me taking out the trashes, they know, hey, everybody's got to pull their weight. It's going to make them more ingrained in the mission statement. And when we do coach, they're more likely to hear that coaching. So Yeah, staffing is an issue all the time. We're very, very selective. As far as nugget ice, not very much. A bag here, a bag there. Summertime it goes up, but yes, we do sell bags of our nugget ice. Yeah, it's good ice.
How much is it?
Oh.
And people don't know, you know that?
People don't know about a lot of things that we sell. We still get asked if we sell hamburgers and onion rings. Yeah, it's somewhere $2 a bag, maybe. I'm sorry. We don't sell enough of it for me to know.
I know, I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Good morning, Kirk. Thanks for being here.
Morning.
I'm a big Chick-fil-A fan as well. Maybe not like Mark, but I do love it. I used to seek it out before I was here. Now, of course, it's just easy.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of sharing a stage with Dan Cathy a couple years ago at
that's great.
on a National Leadership Day event in Miami, and got to know him pretty well over that event. And I'm going to ask you the same question I asked him. And I guess I can preface it a little bit more. So we're being petitioned right now by KFC to move National Fried Chicken Day to a Sunday. And I find it interesting that they're doing that. They want to do that because chicken, of course, and Sundays seem to go hand in hand together. And you're closed on Sunday. I just want to know the internal struggle that you have with that, because I'm sure you realize that if you were open on Sundays, that would be your biggest day of the week. But yet you do it for culture and for faith. So I'm really interested to hear what your take is on this.
Yeah. I will steer it right back to that slide of True Cathy and his life verse. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. And I just feel so very fortunate to get to be a part of something like that and get to represent a family and a brand that values that than the other side. So I think part of the question was, does it bother you? No, I'm thankful. I'm just very, very grateful for the opportunity. I know I speak on behalf of our team that not working on Sundays, they love it. It's great. We come in very refreshed on Mondays, and yeah, I'm grateful for that opportunity, to be honest with you.
So my question is about your volunteer stuff that I think really goes unnoticed, but I'm just very curious because as the president of the Chamber EDC, I'm pretty darn proud of the things that we do in our community, and a lot of those things go unnoticed. How many pounds of chicken do you give back to like the Dream Center? Because I've, on my lunch break, driven to the United Way, picked up the cooler things, driven to Chick-fil-A, and been escorted to the back freezer, I think by you one day. I've been in there numerous times. Feel like I'm a worker back there, and it's
Join the team.
intense. But you keep loading and loading and loading and loading. I mean, I've walked out of there with so many like leftover chicken. How many pounds of food do you figure you've donated to the Dream Center? Because I think it's pretty amazing.
Oof. I can't speak for every restaurant. I can speak on my experience. I mean, a lot. Seriously, thousands upon thousands of pounds of food. And when I talked about the rigorous processes, that 20-minute hold time, if Mark's working in the back and we have 5 sandwich orders on screen and he's breading and he puts down 20 fillets, and we don't get another 15 orders on screen for fillets, guess what Mark just did? He has to expire 15 fillets, right? So then Chick-fil-A offers the option. This is not necessarily a requirement, but it speaks to the culture that as a restaurant owner, you get to decide what you want to do with that expired chicken. 99% of Chick-fil-A restaurants donate that food. That donation does cost operators money, both in time, product, but that speaks to the culture. That other 1% live and have restaurants in cities where they don't allow it. So really, as a brand, we are 100% on volunteer donating that food. And I would say across the chain, it's in the millions of pounds of chicken that we are giving to the needy.
I think it's amazing. Thank you so much for everything.
Oh, truly my pleasure.
As you've got, Chick-fil-A is one of the top brands in the country. people know it, that kind of thing. But are you able to share at all a little bit about the innovation that goes on, the constant development of new stuff and new things, and maybe even a little risky sometimes, bringing new stuff out, different stuff? Can you
Yeah.
share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I sure can. I'd say it even starts back with our founder, Truett Cathy. When he was first starting Chick-fil-A, that was his mind. He was an entrepreneur. He sold Coca-Cola out of a wagon and was always trying to innovate ways to sell this when he was a kid. And he gave a couple bottles of Coca-Cola to the driver of an ice truck for the broken ice on the bottom, so now he could keep his product cold. And so that started his entrepreneurship, and it never stopped. That bled down through the company. So we have a separate kitchen where they do test products. They test all different types of not only equipment, but recipes. You see it right now. We have the pretzel bun sandwich. If you've been in our restaurant in the last few months, we have a pretzel bun sandwich. And they do product rotations. And they're constantly innovating. And that's my personality. So that's why I, again, can jive so much with the brand is, how are we going to get better? We're not satisfied. How are we going to continue to grow and continue to innovate and try new things? And guess what? We're going to fail. I tell my directors all the time, you have my permission to fail. You have my permission to fail, but I want to see your very best. And then if you fail in something, I want to see improvement. That's it. It's that simple, because I do believe incremental progress yields long-term success.
Hearing you talk, you said you don't talk, you're fantastic on stage. So,
Oh.
but hearing when you're talking through that stuff, there was hints of, I've heard Steve Shield speak a number of times, and there is that continuous improvement, that
Yeah.
always striving to be better. That is the Shields mantra. My daughter, her first job's at Shields, she's been there 7 years. It's one of the best experiences that you can have for any of your kids, is working in a great organization like that. So thank you. One more of a business question though. So the Chick-fil-A sauce, that magic. That magic sauce you can put on anything that's good.
True.
And you can get 2 bottles of it at Costco in a double pack.
Yeah.
For a reasonable price. And now maybe we don't go to Chick-fil-A as much because I got my Chick-fil-A sauce at home. How do, and I'm sorry if this isn't a fair question, I can't answer. How do those conversations go between corporate and operators on when those decisions are made? I'd imagine that affects your bottom line in some ways. Can you speak into that a little bit about how that back and forth goes?
Yes, I would say that I've gotten the privilege to work for different universities, different companies, and gotten to visit corporate centers. And I had this expectation of what the corporate center was going to be like the very first time I went there to visit. And again, foot in my mouth, it was such an opposite experience. It was like people genuinely wanted to know you, wanted to see where you're from, how you're getting better, and I may never cross paths with that person again, but they genuinely cared. So again, that culture piece and the relationship we have with the support center, I am so supported that there's a different department, different anything, that if I have a question, concern, call them. Call them. I have a business relationship lead that comes and visits me a few times a year, and things like that. Hey, what's the direction of Chick-fil-A heading with this decision? Again, they pulled that commercial to change a few words because felt like it felt right. They take every single ounce of feedback we give them back and say, hey, let's reevaluate. Does this uphold the mission statement? If it does, why are we doing this? If they don't have a why, there's a good chance that decision is going to be retracted. Permission to fail. We tried something, it didn't work. So to answer your question, I trust in my support center, and I believe in what they're doing. It's hard to be a successful team if you're questioning the head coach, if you're questioning the special teams coordinator on every single call, and you're focused on so many other people. That's internally going to affect your decisions and what you do as a leader. So my job is to focus on my restaurant and grow my sales. Outside noise, other competitors, are we getting better? How are we going to continue to move forward? So. One more.
When your team's running low, how do you boost morale on the team?
That's really good. Yeah, so that goes back to the losing situation, right? If I have 10 that are scheduled for the back of house, 2 are sick, 1 doesn't show up, and 1 calls out, 4 people on a 10-person squad is like losing half your team in the busiest spot of your business, right? I can't tell you that I have a magic light switch or wand that I wave that everyone's like, okay, now we're good. We're still missing 4 people, but we're good. But again, I'm so very fortunate in the directors that I have that I don't even have to ask Carson, for instance, hey, Carson, we're short in the back. Nope, I'm going to be there 11 to 2. I've got this person. I talked to the shift lead back there. They know I'm going to help them here. Anthony's going to be there. Marissa's going to be here. Taylor's got this. We're good. Everything's good. So really, that is part of that. Going back to your question, I have to set their schedule to have a great lifestyle so that in those moments, they're like, yeah, absolutely. I know I'm going to work an extra 5 hours today, but guess what? It's my pleasure to serve my team, because that's part of the culture. Now, tangible things we're doing, we're having, I can't remember what it was, we're doing Sunday events. Those type of things help with culture, which internally help with those moments. We're constantly trying to get them snacks and food. We have a lot of systems and things in place that make those team members feel heard and special, that in those moments they know they can count on higher level leadership. So.
All right, so we are getting down to the end, and I apologize, but I gotta ask one last question. And when you're a leader and you're doing something like this, if you could go back and you gave yourself one piece of advice to an earlier you, a high school Kyle or a college Kyle, what would that piece of advice be? He's speechless.
It's okay, I'm just thinking. I would say, truthfully, don't worry so much. And it's so darn easy to say that sitting here, fast forward 15 years, but it was always like, okay, if I coach this kid wrong, he's going to go to the head coach and say I'm a bad coach, and then I'm not going to get the next job. And you know what? Just do your best. Let the chips fall where they fall, and be okay with failure. And when you do fail, be humble enough to go to somebody and say, hey, I failed. I can't find out why I failed. Could you help me identify? And lean on the people around you to help you, and know that you're not going to do it all yourself. You got to have a good team and good mentors around you.
And our last question of the day for you.
That's my turn.
Oh, yep.
So thank you very much for your presentation today
My pleasure.
and what you do for your team and our community. So what can we as the 1 Million Cups community do to help you to continue to succeed?
Thank you. Yeah, I knew that question was coming, and I had an answer, and I want to answer it a little bit differently. You know, I was like, oh, I'll talk about breakfast and I'll talk about catering, but really, truthfully, what I want, guys, is I want us to raise our standard together. Right? Let's raise our standard of excellence in this community, because if we're all doing that together, I've been in some businesses around the city and everyone does such a great job, and I'd love it if we all can just continue to get better, because if this business is getting better, it's helping this business. If this business is getting better, it's helping this business, and we can all grow together. We all have the same goal. We're trying to serve our community. And competition breeds success. Pressure is a privilege when those around you are doing good things, and I just want to continue to grow. And so I put my email up there. You guys want to support me? Let's meet. Let's talk. Let's get better together. Yeah.
Kyle Kudrna, Chick-fil-A, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Quickly, what we got coming up in the future, as you're aware, as we get into the holiday season, we do take a break. So we have 3 sessions left before that timing comes on. Bismarck Break Room is next week with Michael Pegars. And if you have not seen that or heard of this, it's kind of an interesting place. If you're really frustrated, you can just go break stuff. And people have some fun doing that. It's kind of interesting. And nobody yells at you for doing it. Then, come November 12th, we will have Reignite Your Life Coaching with Heather Rubke. And she will talk about what she's doing with her business. And then November 19th is our end of 2025 and the end of our 12th year. Season party, November 19th, hosted by Threefold. So we'll be out there, and we'll look forward to seeing all of you there. Thank all of you for being here today and supporting us and supporting Kyle and Chick-fil-A. We greatly appreciate it. Have a great day. Take care.